آزادی بیان
言论自由
free speech.
But just again, if I may just follow up on this, because it's an issue with our project, the free speech debate, which is the tension between attempting to work towards global norms, universal norms, and local norms. And you have, in effect, and this is not a criticism, it's simply a statement of historical fact, you've globalized First Amendment norms, just as Google has. And now you're in this kind of strange grappling with other norms in other cultures.
Yeah, and I think they are so, talk about the DNA of a system or a company, they're so embedded in our DNA that whilst people will chip away at them, and there are particular instances, that are a condition of operating anywhere, actually. I mean, people in every country globally will have some pieces of content that they say are beyond the pale and so on, and we'll try and force that upon us. But our starting point is that First Amendment position.
But it's not that, it seems like, or at least you're portraying it in the sense that you have incorporated this First Amendment culture as being sort of a free-flow culture, and it has unfortunate and negative side effects, and therefore for certain communities it's not as good. But the First Amendment comes with more baggage than that.
Yeah.
There are certain information flows that under the First Amendment doctrine in the United States, you don't get any protection, any constitutional protection. Think about pornography. Think about violations of intellectual property. So in other words, what we are incorporating through Facebook is not just sort of the benign version of the sort of First Amendment openness of free flows, but also a very American view of what shall be protected with respect to intellectual property or illegal content.
Yeah, I think it's more of a. I think you have a set of values that are defined by the creators of that space, and those values, in the case of Facebook, for example, we would be very keen to protect political speech, but we ban all nudity and pornography. Now, we don't have to ban all nudity on Facebook, except for breastfeeding, which we do allow, even though people say we don't, we do. But we don't have to, that's another issue. But we don't have to ban nudity, but we do because Facebook would be a very different kind of community if it allowed nudity, and we all know what it would turn into. So we have a set of things that we're interested in, and then we have the law applied across multiple jurisdictions. The starting position being the US law, but then actually now with layers and layers on top. An analogy I think of, and I keep meaning to write down, is I feel like large internet spaces like ours are like offshore islands of the US. So it's essentially sort of covered by US law, essentially. And then when they first start off, the only question for other countries is, do you want your citizens to visit this island? Will you allow them visas to go to this island or permits? And they can decide yes or no. And then over time you get countries that more and more want you to fence off a bit of the island and say, okay, in this bit can you apply the local restrictions.
In addition to the...
our citizens can go to the island as long as you stop them gambling, or our citizens can go to the island as long as you stop them engaging in politics or whatever it is. And then the tension for us is, do we try and just say no, give them a visa, yes or no, all in, all out? Or do we start saying, okay, it's so important that they're still allowed on the island that we start, to adjust the island? Or do we adopt the norms of every country and end up with a kind of a common global set of norms for that island?
Do you foresee balkanization then? In the sense that sort of at the end of the day, every Facebook user then has his or her own set of rules, depending on the exact comminglement of local, regional, and US norms that apply to him or her?
I would say philosophically we don't want to do that, and there's for a very fundamental reason, that again, Facebook exists to connect a global community. So if you look at some other internet service providers, the way they've got around this is to use local domains, to get google.com, google.fr, google.de, and they censor or apply local law through those local domains. You can argue it's a little bit of a fiction because everyone can still go to google.com, but they kind of make that work. There is only one facebook.com because I want to talk to my cousin in the United States, or my friend in Germany, or my friend wherever in the world within a common environment. I don't want to go to facebook.uk. It makes no sense. So we, for a design reason, don't want to end up in that space. But of course there's pressure, and this is not a Facebook issue, this is a much bigger issue. If you follow World Summit on Information Society and the Internet Governance Forum and the ITU debate, International Telecommunications Union debate, that's all about, do you get a common set of global standards for internet content? Do you have regional standards? How are those enforced?